Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gamble with SimplerOptions.com, and in tonight's weekly video, I wanted to share some ideas with you in Google. Now, when you come back and look at the weekly chart of Google, it is obviously easy to identify that this is a very bullish chart, but that is part of the foundation that I try to work with to find the strongest trends out there and participate in those moves. I like using the 10 and 34 here on the weekly chart, and you can see where this triggers our buy back above the close above the 10, and it's done excellent ever since. Then when we come down into a little bit more of the immediate work off the daily charts, I really like the way that when we flushed earlier this week, we were able to make a fairly quick recovery and come back to close back up above the 8-period exponential. So you also notice, I like the way that this closed today on Friday, and then also how well this respected the fire line that is part of the Voodoo line study set. Continues to be an extremely helpful piece of the analysis that we go through in the chat room and throughout our daily analysis. So you see, okay, come down and hits and holds this level. It closes back up above the 8, and then the very next time frame that I like to analyze is the 195. That's simply because it divides the cash session into evenly divisible bars, and it's a time frame that not everybody is looking at. So in that way of thinking, what I am trying to do with this current setup is the exact same thing that you saw back here. You have a little bit of an overbought condition that pulls back into the middle of the range, telling me that Google has been able to digest the price at that level, and then we make the next run higher. Now, of course, this will be a little more amplified if I show you on the price scale, but what you're trying to do is use that oversold signal to complement the squeeze to capture this move. That is that is exactly what I'm trying to do here. So you can see that the drop is very similar. We have a squeeze that is working out in a very similar setup so far, and what I would like to see is that a continuation of this move comes through on Monday. Now what we can use to narrow that down a bit more, come back to your 15-minute chart and look at the symmetry in this. So same concept here. We're using the 8 and 34. We shift above this back to focus on the buy side, and then you'll notice all of these previous declines are what I will run from this high to start giving us a level to focus on. We had a smaller one that we started cracking there right towards the end of the day, but it's right on the cusp of it. Ultimately, I'm looking for these 15-minute levels to hold, Google to hold that bigger level on the daily chart, and the 195-minute squeeze to take us to new highs. So in the way of looking at those indicators in that way, and to also share a little bit more of how John and David, the creator of the Voodoo lines, use them, we will be having a webinar on Wednesday, May 31st. This is a free webinar, so it's just an update on some of the ways that we have been using these signals, John and David being the primary presenters in that, and also covering the Dynarange indicator, which is a complement to this study set. So if this is something you've enjoyed and you'd like to find out more about that, Wednesday will be a great time to do it, and I hope to see you there.